Hello, everybody. It's Donna Cravata, and we're back for another Real 50 Over 50 interview. And today we have Melissa Trumble. She is a life transforming force and the founder of ZFG Living. She's a consultant, speaker, podcast host, and a best-selling author. And ZFG's ZFG Living's mission is empowering individuals and powerful survivors of life to make sense of the chaos and overwhelm, transmuting it into their superpower and unleashing their authentic joy. Drawing from her journey of overcoming abuse, traumas, and limiting beliefs, Mel shares insights and wisdom with humor, candor, and a deep understanding of what it takes to live life to its fullest. Through her consulting program, speaking, podcast, and her book, The Big Book of Bad Ideas, Mel leads the way for people everywhere to heal their past, challenge their limiting beliefs, and create a life of joy and authenticity. Welcome, Mel.
Thank you so much for having me, Donna. I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to see you. We met about a year ago at an event and had a good time. Um, Spent a couple of days together in a castle.
Mhm. It was so cool.
Which is closed now. I was sending it to somebody, a link to it to a friend of mine who's going to be coming up to this area, and they've
Oh, cool.
closed.
Oh,
Yeah, the castle's no
oh.
more.
Well,
Sad, right?
somebody else is going to reopen it because what else could it
Yeah,
be? A conference
yeah,
center and
yeah.
hotel.
I mean, it's such a cool place.
Yeah, because there were
Anyway, let's talk
weddings. Yeah.
about let's talk about how you um, yourself have done this and how you help others as well leave the trauma and the chaos and the craziness behind and embrace a life that's truly you.
Well, for me, and for a lot of people, it's humiliating and very tough to face that, oh, I've created this. And for me, it was again. So I had a tumultuous first marriage. Then he said he wanted a divorce. And 5 days later, or something like that, Hurricane Katrina happened. So, like, it wasn't an option for me to return, or, I mean, it was literally an act of God. So, and I was up in the Virginia, Maryland area, which is where I still am, with two of my sisters. And I was just realizing, like, man, I got to really straighten myself out. A lot of therapy, so much grief and trauma therapy, because it was the hurricane, losing my house, the marriage. And then I was feeling better and stronger. Colors were colors again. And, I made the very wise choice of marrying the first man I dated up in
Mm,
Virginia because he had integrity of personality. He was the total opposite of my first husband. His flaws, of course, because God forbid I actually seek someone who can be a stable personality. He had other flaws, philandering, etc. And so then after the second divorce, I'm 47. And I'm like, okay, you did this twice. Obviously, the common denominator is you. And so then I started really reading and investigating and, finding therapists that were more like, I like not blunt, but clear because of
mhm.
the way my wiring is. If you want something from me, please, please, please just tell me what it is. Because if you say it would be nice if, and I was like, oh, that would be nice.
That's a maybe.
you know, and I faced that. And I also reckoned with that pull that we have to chaos. If
Mm.
that's, we can call it passion, we can call it spice.
That's what we were wired to operate with as a child. We bring it
Hmm.
out everywhere.
It's where you feel familiar and it's where you
Yeah,
feel like home. And to redesign your subconscious so that you feel home in a stable situation,
yeah.
that is a long-term commitment. And it's also something that you'll be so glad you did,
Yeah.
and I had help. Believe me, that I help others
You
now.
can't do it alone.
No.
You can't do it alone because you get stuck there.
Exactly. Exactly. And you need someone just to help kind of push you back into the tide and, keep going down the river that you're creating. And it's grueling. And also, though, it can be with ease.
Hmm.
It's just keeping in mind that the emotional part of it is not the logic part of it. I've been in therapy since seventh grade. I knew all the whys and reasons and,
Hmm.
here to's and all that, but I couldn't release myself from feeling safe in chaos.
Yeah, because you didn't know that feeling in your body.
No, not at all. I thought the world was a dangerous place. People were dangerous. Um,
You're in fight and flight mode all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the work is never done, but
Right.
when you can start to recognize it and look for the things that are your personal triggers, because it's not the same for everybody,
No, it's not
then
at
you
all.
actually then you have some solutions that somebody helped you with to kind of like get out of that spot or have somebody to call upon. That's how you get out of it.
Absolutely. And you have to be moving towards something. I always
Yeah.
thought of myself as a live and let live, easygoing.
Mhm.
Well, okay, that's fine and good, but what's your direction and what is your why? Why are you here? Why are you doing what you're doing? I did taxes for flippin' decades. Miserable. Took a break for a few years to be director of finance for a government serving startup, a contractor. It was just work, always, always. And I was trying to hide from my marriage. I was trying to hide from the fact that I made a second marriage unwisely and that my logic was bad.
Mhm. Yeah.
And when you're an intelligent person and you look at the logic you use to make a foolish, foolish choice, oh man, I've already had so much humble pie, but here's another slice.
Yeah, but look at the work that you were doing. The work is all
Yeah,
about logic and numbers don't lie,
true.
like, that validated, "I'm okay. If I could do this work, people trust me to do this, I'm okay."
Yep. I'm
Right?
making
I had
plenty of
the same
money. It's all
thing, yeah.
good.
Working in a law firm, it was the same thing.
Right? So I'm working at CPA firms and it's just miserable. And I go one day, I get a $4,000 bonus. And then the next day I go in and they can me.
Mm,
And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, okay, okay, interesting. Why don't I feel upset? Well, I had done enough meditative learning to understand that we feel the way we feel and it's a
yeah,
reaction to a situation and my entire body and soul were screaming for me to get out of that.
mhm,
And that's when I dove even deeper into the podcast, even deeper into learning more about myself and listening to myself. And third time's the charm. I have a partner now who is so stable, so logical. He's a scientist. Like he's
mm,
unruffled,
yeah,
like him getting angry for me, obviously I'm animated. I like you can see what's going on in my face. I'm like grasping my hands so that I don't talk with my hands when
mhm.
not the microphone, and for him, it's like that was really uncalled for. And I'm just like, ooh, he's mad. And it's so fun when you look around and see that the yin needs the yang, and that's when they say opposites attract. It's not because of all of your values.
No, it's
It's,
a balance.
yeah, because of some personality traits
Mhm,
that balance each other out.
mhm, yeah, and so when recognized that losing your job was a good thing. Was there one specific thing that stood out to you or like just was the thing that really echoed for you?
Um, After they finished talking, the two partners, were there, and so one of the partners, she says, "Well, do you have anything to say?" And I was like,
Thank you.
"Thank you." And their eyes were as big as saucers, and I'm just like, well, I feel so grateful. I feel so light. I feel so free. You know, Texted my partner, and he's like, I'm on my way to pick you up, and moved all my stuff out of the office. And he was like, please don't get another job. I know you can turn around and get another job at a CPA firm, but please don't. Let's just think about this.
Mhm.
And I'm just very lucky because I am a worker. I was raised Catholic. I'm one of
Mhm.
9 children.
Mhm.
Lots of abuse in the home, lots of gaslighting, and when you can't trust yourself because you're raised in an environment where they're telling you it's something other than what you know it is.
Mhm.
Holy shamoly.
Yeah.
I mean, between thinking the world is completely dangerous and not ever having developed my own instincts
Yeah,
or sense of
that job
safety.
was your safety.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I felt the same way. We used to call it the mothership.
Yeah, making money, baby.
But making money in some kind of like, um, like the most stringent, straightest,
Yeah.
like linear place possible.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Robotic.
Yeah. Like I was
And
totally attached to the firm was 125 years old, and I was now part of something that was part
right.
of history, that it was bigger than me. And like I quit 3 times before I finally quit.
Good for you for knowing and for having that example to yourself to be like, "No, this isn't for me."
Yeah.
Of course, we get seduced back in,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but ultimately we have to decide for ourselves. And for myself and a lot of people, women in particular, when we can't say what kind of eggs we prefer,
Mm,
then it's really difficult to say what direction we want our life to take.
yeah.
I can make anybody else's life great. I've started a
Mhm.
business for each of my ex-husbands.
Mhm.
I was talking to my current partner. I was like, "Do you want a business on the side?" He's like, "You're not doing that again. Build your own business." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And here we are.
That's great. And how long ago was this?
This was 3 years ago. I had already written my book that I published that in 21.
Mhm. And how different this whole situation would have been if you would have lost your job when you were in one of those other relationships?
Oh my goodness. I would have been pummeled, bullied, dragged over broken glass until I replaced the income.
Mhm. Yeah. It's amazing how things happen when they're supposed to, right?
It is wild. And it's also wild how things can happen according to some plan that you don't understand at all.
Mhm.
Because I've never been a belief in like there's a grand plan and a divine, way for things to work out. And I'm just like, puff, puff, give. That's not how life is.
Mhm.
However, we get to choose how our life is, and we can certainly have it work out just beautifully
Yeah.
if we can let ourselves be happy and be open to success.
Yeah. I'm curious.
Curiosity is the best.
Mhm.
Why am I thinking that? Is that story true? Boom.
Yeah. Well, you're not gonna see these possibilities around you until you're curious. They just
Exactly.
glide right by.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, in Elizabeth Gilbert's book, Big Magic, have you read that book?
I have not, but,
It's
I'm putting
so
it on my
good.
list.
It's so good. She talks about opportunities, and she talks about, that they're all around us,
Yeah,
and they wait for us for a certain amount of time, and if we don't
and
take
then they go.
them, then they go to somebody else. And she shared this in the context of there was something that she had started, and like a couple of years later, somebody else published it and ran with it and was very successful, and she was angry about that. And then she realized like that
Whoops, I didn't
opportunity,
get it out
yeah,
there.
that
Yeah.
opportunity only waited so long, and she started to see patterns of that. Really interesting, really
Well, that's
interesting.
fascinating, and it's true.
It is true.
100% true.
It is
What do you
true.
find? You find what you seek.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boom. If you
Yeah.
seek success, happiness, peace, all of that, great. If you seek righteous indignation and the adrenaline charge from being angry, bon appetit. I don't want that.
Yeah. Me neither. I've had enough of that. I've had enough of that, and blame. Like, blame is another thing.
Doesn't matter. If it's your problem, it's your problem.
Yeah.
And I think that taking responsibility for things in your life, that's very different from saying it's okay or saying that you forgive or, anything. You don't have to have love in your heart for your abusers. You can, however, say, all right, I want to live this way, and I will only do things that will help me live in the way I want.
Mhm.
Well, boom. You're
Yeah.
not going to be around to meet the abusers anymore because
Yeah.
you're busy. You got stuff to do.
Yeah. And it's who you surround yourself with too.
100%.
Because if you're around people that lift you up and will listen to your craziest ideas with,
Hmm.
enthusiasm and guidance,
Yeah.
everything really changes.
Oh, 100%. Because we can do just about anything. I
Mhm.
mean, as a multiple hurricane survivor, and I mean, learned how to float sheetrock when I was 12,
Mhm.
to help everything get back after whatever hurricane. I mean, bad things happen to good people, good
Mm.
things happen to bad people. Life is not fair, and that's okay. I can take the cards I'm dealt, toss off the riffraff, and keep the ones that I want that will lead me to that life that I want. I, not going to be easy and without pain, but it's a complete option for everyone.
So when you're working with people, like what are the top things that they come to you with?
Um, my people have already done, they've been through therapy and they're at that point that I was at, in my late 40s, early 50s. Is like, well, I know all of those reasons. Why am I still here? Like I'm doing the work. Why is every, whether it's dating or business or whatever, it's like
Mhm.
every next thing is a disaster.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you have to, I mean, I say we telescope out, microscope in. You can telescope out and look at, the reasons you've discovered about your own fuckery and shenanigans, and then you can look in micro, one person,
Mhm.
this mind, the emotions that I have. First of all, I have emotions and I have thoughts. They're not all divine and 100% true. I get to sort out what story I accept. And if the story is that I'm worth nothing and you're from a trashy family in the deep south and da 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 da, well, okay, great. Then I'll never do anything. Luckily, part of my mental wiring and being on the spectrum is that I can be very logical. And so I'm like, well, a successful person wouldn't do that. So I'm not going to. I mean, everything from eat the chips or drink the rest of the bottle. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
we
Everything but
all have
drink.
those behaviors. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shopping.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what is the thing that where they get that glimmer of, "Oh, it doesn't have to be this way."
Yeah. Typically when I walk them through my story.
Oh, they see similarities.
Yeah, and they're just or my story might be worse in some ways because I can say the word incest and
Mhm.
put that on my resume because that's the system that my mother was raised in and she passed it on. And I'm in the process of doing EMDR therapy to try and recover the memories
Mhm.
of my own sexual abuse, like the beatings and all that kind of stuff I remember, and that's fine. I mean, it's not fine. Take
Mhm.
note, abusers, it is not fine. But, I've processed that. I understand it. My parents were very young, yada, yada, doing the best with the tools they had at the time. But holy moly, if you want to get down to brass tacks about what you're doing in your life, open your heart, get curious. Whether it's, with me as, oh, wow, she really went through it. Listen to my podcast, listen to other podcasts,
Mhm.
look up authors, see
Yeah.
who you resonate with and who is not selling something to you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. Yeah. We've had just in this interview series, I think you're the 127th interview,
Thank
and,
you.
we've had people share incredible things, and, it started with, "I really never shared this before."
I get it. I totally get it. I mean, I've always been candid. I despise secrets because you're gaslighting yourself, your family's gaslighting you, your whoever's telling you the alternate version of reality. Maybe your version of reality is harsher or different, but it's one stone with all the facets.
Yeah.
I'm not saying my mother was uniquely evil in every single way. She was quite a good mother in some
Mhm.
ways, but in a very deep way, she was not.
Yeah, parents in our generation, most of them were not equipped to be having
No.
children. They got married because they wanted to have sex.
Exactly, exactly. And to them, child raising is making sure your kid doesn't say or do something outrageous,
Yeah, or die.
and embarrass you.
Or die. Anything short of that is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, family dinners, like, holiday dinners with my family, it was like rooms, and everyone was talking about everybody else in the
Oh,
different rooms,
yes.
and then you would circle between the rooms, and, like, I stopped seeing my family, and I stopped celebrating holidays. I only celebrate Halloween and my
Good
birthday,
for you.
and, I tried making my own rituals and my own holidays, and it just didn't work. It was just too far gone, and I didn't care enough to do it. So I did it for as long as my son was little, and then once he got to be about 12 years old, it was done.
Right. Well,
But
and good for you for seeing that as a possibility.
yeah. Well, that was the ritual, is that we don't buy into this. We could do other
Right.
things, you know? So I would celebrate Thanksgiving in January.
I love celebrating a holiday on another date because Thanksgiving is a killer
Oh, it
long
was the worst.
weekend.
It was
Yeah.
the worst. The whole thing was the worst.
Because you
And
can travel on Thanksgiving Day when everything's deserted, the roads, the airports, whatever. Yeah. Sorry.
But
You were
yeah,
saying?
it's amazing when you really start to, go layer by layer.
Yes. Peel that onion, baby.
Yeah.
That is enchanting stuff because half the time I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I've been doing this like a pro for decades, literally. Therapy and self-help and all of the things for decades. And I'll peel a layer back and be like, "Huh, oh yeah. So and so did tell me that I couldn't have something because I wanted it.
Mhm.
Interesting."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
our subconscious, oh my gosh, people feel like I know it's right, da 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 da. No, you create your subconscious before you're 12 flippin' years old,
Oh, it's even
before you
worse
have
than
post
that.
operational logic, a
Yeah.
valid point I always try to make. And you took it from pieces of whatever. You're a little sponge with
Yeah.
no context and a brain that's like a handful of jelly beans. It's being formed. It's not able to process what and why. You just know that yelling is this and this is what feels safe. And, as long as everybody's unhappy and screaming, then you're home. And holy guacamole, we can release that, retrain our subconscious. It's very repetitive, I'm here to tell you, but it's completely doable. You don't have to be a rocket science. It's not like I've got a PhD in psychology or anything. You just have to be consistent and kind and give yourself love and grace.
Yeah. And be ready to face the fear.
Exactly. What are you gonna find? What's the memory gonna kill you? Is it gonna kill you?
Mm.
Because our
Well,
brain feels like it's under threat of death. Whenever it's fear, whether it's, oh man, I forgot my lunch, or ooh, wait, I don't want to remember that because of, I was 12 or 14 or 9, 3. Like, there might be some things that are very difficult. I'm not saying everyone has to peel back every layer and get to every
yeah.
memory at all. That's not what I'm
Mhm.
saying.
Mhm.
However, sometimes you have to, in order to be your authentic self and to be proud of who you are, you do have to face some of the unpleasantries.
Yeah. And there's so much value in awareness,
Yes.
because
That's the thing.
then you then you know. Then you can see the evidence that it doesn't have to be this way.
Yeah. Just be curious. Ask yourself, what story am I telling myself?
Mhm.
Is it true?
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but, just from doing all of these interviews and the work that I do, because, a lot of stuff comes up in the work that I do because we're dealing
Yeah.
with people's stories and how they bring their true selves into their businesses. Um,
Mhm.
it really changes when you get into your 50s,
Oh my gosh, it's a gift.
and even more in your 60s.
Gorgeous. I can't wait. I got 4 more years.
Yeah, yeah. It really does. What I've noticed through all of this is that the 50s is kind of like, next level, puberty,
Nice. I
kind of
like
in
that.
reverse, and then when you hit 60, this calm comes over you. So it's just like,
Which is
all these things, but they're not, the chaos just comes down like decibels.
well, because you realize that you don't have to buy into it,
Yeah.
and that's fantastic. I mean, good.
It just
Like,
opens up time for so many other things.
absolutely, I can spend my energy doing what? Something that helps me move forward? Oh, bonjour. Yes, thank you.
Sign me up.
Yes, 100%. And that's when you talk about, classic quotes like, excellence is a habit.
Mhm.
You do choose what you do, you choose what you put into your mind and spirit. Again, the people who you surround yourself with, it's imperative to understand if they're not whatever you consider a good person to be, you may have relationships that change. I'm not saying you have to like never talk to people again. However, if your closest confidant is, smoking crack half the time and giving you cockamamie ideas of what you should be
Mhm.
doing, well, maybe you need a better confidant.
Yeah. Yeah, I raised my son that way too. Early on in my business, somebody, a coach told me, "You're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with," which is a Jim
Yeah.
Rohn quote. And, since my son was maybe, 9 or 10 years old, I always
Hmm.
told him, "It's the 5 people around you, because that's how you can tell what your life is gonna be." And now he's 23 now, and he'll call me up and he'll say, "I'm no longer speaking to this person." I was like, "Why?
Great.
Not one of my 5."
Great.
Yeah,
That's
and
brilliant.
it's so yeah, and he won't be having this discussion when he's in his 50s.
No. Oh my gosh. What a head start you've given him. I mean, holy guacamole, I couldn't even name my feelings. I guess the only thing I felt was shame and
Yeah,
pain.
but again, it's what is imprinted into you
Yes.
as a child, and, like, I had no, good parenting, um,
Mhm.
advice or skills to lean upon from my own personal experience, but I used that as a what not to do,
100%.
and I broke the cycle of 2 really unhealthy families.
That's really wonderful. Good for you and for your kiddo.
Yeah, and I see a lot of it. I see a lot of it with, families of his friends that, they came from, some form of dysfunction or
Mhm.
another, and they made choices to have a very different experience.
Absolutely. And just understanding that the positive stuff is available to you and your worth exists because you're human.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if you're excited about, if you're excited for someone who's having a baby, well, that baby's not even here yet. And that already has love and affection. Well, why, what? Once they're born, see you later? You're
Mhm.
worthless? Uh-uh. No.
It's amazing, and it's amazing how, like, just what you said now, what you just shared, it's like how this can be, just shared around you into, like, layers upon layers of what you put out into the world and the impact that it has.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, indeed. I agree completely. And the impact that we have, release knowing who you're impacting. I've had people come up to me variously, even when I was my most effed up in my 20s and 30s, who were like, you told me I didn't have to stand for blah, 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 blah,
Mm,
whatever.
mhm.
And that changed everything. I didn't even see that as an option. You get to choose. You may not like your choices, but you get to choose for sure.
Mhm. But that's even a gift in itself too, because if you realize you don't like the choices you have, then you can start to explore what are the other options.
Exactly. Right? How can I engineer that? I know
Right.
the end of where I want to be. I know who I
Yeah.
want to be like.
Yeah,
So let's, walk that
take the
back.
steps backwards. Yeah, exactly. Amazing. It's just amazing what you can do in your life and how you could make changes. I was on a call yesterday with a group of women who were all over 50, and there was a woman on there who's 90 years old.
Oh, that's so cool.
And well, she's going to turn 90 in the next couple of weeks, and she was planning going to Iceland by herself to
Beautiful.
celebrate her 90th birthday. And she's learning Italian and she's learning how to play the piano, and she's 90.
Good.
90. I was so inspired.
Like, when is reading going to get boring? When is taking a walk and looking at nature, learning languages, being curious about the world? Oh my gosh, we have so many different cultures and places, and it's wildly cool.
I know, and that got me thinking about, like, we've got another 30 years at least. Like, what could
Yeah,
we do in those 30 years with all of this wisdom and all of these things that we've already learned,
yeah,
and use that as the foundation of what comes next. It's just
yeah.
that just gets me so
Oh,
excited.
yeah.
And
I think of the pain that I was in and the not understanding what choices I had. And I think, okay, if I had a podcast like Zero F's Given, yeah, that would have knocked me down because you do have choices.
mhm. Yeah. And, you know, and you can change. One of the other things is, like, I used to view, because I'm always changing and doing new things and learning, and I used to view this as a bad thing. Like, when are you just gonna settle into something and stick with it and be happy with it?
Hmm.
Then I realized, like, well, never. And that's okay.
There is nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm ADHD AF. I told my psychiatrist there's got to be another
Another letter.
denotation, because dang. Uh, and okay, great. That means that I am really great at a lot of things and that I'm not going to stay doing any one thing forever.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, and, it's like, I don't see my family very often, but the last time I saw my brother-in-law, who I know since I'm, like, 11 years old, he said to me, "So, you still have that little secretarial business?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do."
Hmm. Yeah, I teach typing. And that's the other thing, getting to a point where somebody can say something that's very insulting, and you're just like, "Yeah, yeah. Whatever." That's the zero F's given part
Yeah,
of what I teach people. Like,
yeah.
okay, if that's what he thinks, that's what he thinks. What, is he not gonna refer people to me? He never was anyway.
He never was. No, no, no. My family is like, you get the job, you work till you either die or
Uh-huh.
you retire. And, like, when they get together, the first question is, "How many years you got left?"
I don't wanna live a life that I'm counting down to get
Yeah.
out of.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, if somebody asks me about when I'm gonna retire, the word is never.
Like, I don't yeah, I don't see it. I certainly don't have a plan to
Mhm.
do that, and also, I like what I do. I'm very blessed that
Yeah,
I'm very lucky that I'm able to do this. And even if I had to work a job job to keep the money coming in, I could still do what I'm doing
yeah,
just when I'm not working.
yeah. It's so different when you build something that you love and something that's really complementary of your skills and your gifts and your talents, right?
Heck yeah.
It's a whole new world.
It is. It really is. And it's just exciting and fun, and all the colors are sharper
Mhm.
and the smells smell better. And yeah,
And
it's very cool.
I love to see all the different versions of what people create, even if there's similarities. Like, my
Hmm.
some of my favorite interviews were with people that do the same thing I do.
Cool.
And, just to see how they do it differently, and, that I just find it all so fascinating that we all, pull together all of our parts and find the thing that works for us, and then other people actually want it.
It's
It's just
beautiful.
brilliant. It's
And it
brilliant.
makes me feel like the hard times, it's not that they're more worth it or something like that, but at least they serve a purpose.
Yeah, yeah, and I think, it's just part of it. I mean, even if you're in, I mean, how many hard times were there when you were in your job?
Incessant.
Incessant. Exactly. Look, your eyes started to twitch.
100%. And that's because it was, yes, actually miserable. And I could have done a lot of things. I could have just been a bookkeeper,
Yeah.
without all the responsibility and, but no, all that programming of mine was that you must be at your highest and best use. I'm not a piece of real estate. I don't need to make as much money as possible every moment of every day. Like, I'm good.
Yeah. I decided early on in my business, and I started my business in 2006, where there were not very many virtual businesses and there was
Hmm.
nowhere to really learn from. So you had to really seek out, the people that were doing things in a way that felt good. And there was so much learning just in that.
Yeah.
But there were people that were like, just niche down and start a newsletter business. I was like, if I had to churn out newsletters every day, all day for the rest of my life, I would just have a bridge.
Yeah, nighty night. Mm.
Not doing that. And I decided my niche was I wasn't going to work with assholes. That was my niche.
I like it. Absolutely. I mean, one of my favorite soccer teams, the reporters talk about how they have created a culture where jerks are not in it
Yeah.
and how positive of an experience everyone has. And I'm just like, oh, I get to live that too.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I love about what I do, it's every day is an education,
Yes.
because I'm doing research on people that do all these different things. And I find that just fascinating. And I want to be interested in it, but I just want to work with people I like.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I don't have to be in love with you, but like
Yeah.
if I think that you're going to tear me limb from limb because I used the wrong word and you don't think I have good intention, I
Mhm.
don't care to be around that.
Yeah.
I
It's
say
just
a lot of, and I say a lot of things I shouldn't say, but my intent is uniformly positive.
yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, we have actually gone over time, but loving this conversation. But I like to end these interviews with asking for a wisdom bomb, even though you've dropped like 100 already. Just something small and actionable that people can take with them and carry on with their day.
If you are a person who pleases other people and can't say no, just tell yourself no. You're not going to do something. It's going to drive you bananas. I'm talking like leave an unwashed dish in the sink or, whatever your version is. You don't have to detail your car. You don't have to do something and see what it's like to choose something that you thought was unavailable to you and build that muscle for saying no.
That's really good. That's really good. Well, thank you, Mel. Thank you for spending some time with me today. And here is her website, zfgliving.com. Go check out everything that she's up to. Listen to her podcast, leave a review, share it with others. And if you have any questions, comments, ideas, just tag us in the chat and we'll come back and keep the conversation
Absolutely.
going. And we will be back with more every Wednesday at noon Eastern. So have a great Wednesday, everyone, and we will see you next week. Thanks, Mel.
Hugs.